This is your December 24 soul story. If you've got a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your final reading for this year. It's Romy. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel, for all your support and investment this past year. We are going to open up this month with the energy of the Queen of Swords. She's going to be such an ally for you, actually, in what could be a little bit of a confusing period. December is beginning, of course, still with this Mercury retrograde energy, and we're building up to Mars stationing retrograde in Leo on the 6th. It means that there are definitely some second chances to review, reevaluate, and consider things in your life. But what you're also going to find is that there's an awful lot of contradictory energy around. And you may find that either you or somebody that you are in some sort of a situation with is changing their mind, changing it back, and consistently kind of oscillating between, two different considerations or outcomes. And that can be a little bit challenging for you in terms of trying to progress or to move things forward. So I believe that this Queen of Swords is coming in a really supportive capacity for you. And the thing that I've been really saying about December is it's almost like there is this really thick cloud cover, and at times it feels kind of a bit dense and a bit oppressive, and yet every now and again the sun is breaking through, and as it does, it's this brilliant vision. You see the clarity of that blue sky, you feel the warmth of the energy of the sun, and things make sense, and it's enough to rejuvenate and revitalize you. So what that means is that there are these moments that punctuate throughout the month that are going to kind of bring you back and bring the balance back and remind you of something and motivate you again. And so, it is one of these experiences that I think there's going to be a almost 4 seasons in a day type of scenario going on. Your moods may fluctuate a lot. The energy around you is very mutable and changeable. Now, as a sign, you're more able and more adept to be able to manage that type of experience. So that will absolutely work in your favor. And the thing with both Mercury and then Mars shifting retrograde is that, it's a beautiful time for being able to receive new types of inspiration, particularly creatively so. So if there are things in your 10th house of Sagittarius energy that are ongoing in your career and your work, it may be that this pause, this sacred time, affords you a chance to really look at something and zone in very carefully and with a great deal of consideration, and receive kind of a bolt out of the blue that's a real game changer for you. And even if it's not something that you're ready to initiate or is practically possible in the month of December, it's going to set you up really beautifully for how you're going to take something forward into the year of 2025. So even if you are having this backwards and forwards in terms of changeling energy, please don't feel that that's going to create like a long-term scenario that has you feel like you're going round and round in circles. I think one of the things that this Queen of Swords is also really advocating for in this month of December is for you to actually stop doubting your potential, your gifts, and most importantly, your value in situations as well, okay? Now be mindful, when Mars is retrograde in Leo, Leo also is the theme of children. It can bring about things with either your inner child or children within the family dynamic, and perhaps issues that need to be readdressed or looked at once again. We've got the 5 of Pentacles here, and there's definitely a sort of feeling of lack with regards to something. It's a very emotive, sensitive time of the year, and when we look at a combination of the Queen of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles, we see that there's an absence of warmth and heart energy. You may feel that that's a situation that you're in, that you're not being able to access that right now. Maybe you feel a little bit numb, or maybe you feel somebody in and around you isn't really directing or expressing that heart energy. If there's family dynamics going on, there may be this sense of something coming up that needs to be looked at or addressed or resolved. I think you need to decide early on in the month where your priorities are going to lie. Otherwise, it feels like it can get quite overwhelming. I think if you do that, it's very clear that you're going to be able to I think put some things on the sort of back burner, and particularly where things feel really unclear or confusing. It's almost like if you've got something that needs your immediate attention and someone or some other situation is lacking clarity or the ability to just show up and be direct and upfront with you, you're absolutely going to be the one that says, I need to come back to this, or I need to revisit this later, right? At times we feel like we're walking in the dark or walking into the unknown, and there's certainly a continuation of somewhat of a void-like energy moving through this final month of the year, coupled with a huge amount of reflection and consideration of what has been. And remember that 5 also is going to be that sort of memory that's lingering around what didn't fulfill its potential, what was lost, or what feels like it's overly depleted or no longer as buoyant or abundant as it once was. But what you say about it, what you think about it, really matters, okay? And that's why, you know, these 5s can come through as a sort of opportunity to kind of stop and reevaluate something. They present a challenge, but it's not a challenge that we cannot overcome. And again, with the Queen of Swords sitting high with her real focus on looking towards what is coming, you know, there is this sense for you that I think you can find resolution and acceptance and be able to move through and move on in quite a powerful way. I want to say, you know, if you're in a situation where you're wondering, do they mean it? This is what's coming through. I want to say to you right now, I think they do, but I think that there's a changing energy around that. Okay, so don't be at all surprised if somebody tries to backtrack or then goes quiet, and then there's like this reemergence, or we're going to revisit this again. You've got Hermit energy, and I think it is just that introspection that's needed in order to make sense or to process something. Think about 3 things that actually, you know, bring you some sanity through the month of December, and that's going to go a long way, okay? I think the other thing I want to remind you of is, you know, your ego is always trying to latch on tighter when your soul is nudging you to let go, Pisces. And so where you're leaning into some fear, some anxiety, some sense or trepidation of bigger shifts that are happening or have already happened in your world, and you're just trying to kind of find your feet in your lighthouse moment with that, you got to flood your fear with faith and fortitude, but also know that there's always going to be a part of you that's going to struggle against that. And sometimes, you know, you really have to call it out. And where you've got the wisdom of the Hermit supporting you in regards to that, I think you're definitely set to make some wise decisions in terms of what you're coming to terms with. Now, we also have career highs when we're working with 10th house energy. Yeah, but there's this remembrance that you're an eternal soul. And so whether it's career highs or you felt some lows, and that fluctuation energy has left you feeling a little bit like lost or unclear or just a bit overwhelmed in any way, shape or form, there is this reminder it's all an experience. You know, you haven't done anything right or wrong if you can really look at it from a place of more detachment and say that everything that unfolded in this past year, and that's even all around you at the moment, is just giving you the opportunity to have these different types of experiences to promote deeper self-awareness, growth, healing, and evolution, right? And the Chariot is really prominent here because it talks to me about significant progress, right? It's about taking like a really big leap forward. And sometimes I think, you know, change doesn't necessarily happen overnight, even though it can feel like that sometimes. If you look back, it's something that you've been working on and you've been building up to for a long time. But there's something about maybe it landing in December in a surprising way or quite a quick way, you know, particularly once we come up from the 7th onwards. Let me call out the 7th. It's an important power day, right? Ceres, asteroid goddess, is moving into Aquarius. She brings a real nurturing energy, quite moon-like, even Venus themed. And she also rules money. Now on the same day we've got Venus conjunct Pluto, Sun opposing Jupiter. Here's some positive, unconventional, perhaps a little bit unexpected changes that come in quite quickly that could help you reevaluate your situation materially, right? But also in regards to your value. That's why not doubting yourself is important, because what might show up in and around the 7th is asking something of you, and it wants you to move forward. Is it going to be easy? No. I think we've all come to terms with the fact that nothing right now feels particularly easy, but it doesn't mean that it's a reason not to do it, not to try, not to reach, not to keep giving yourself permission to move and lean into things. You can do the hard things, right? And what I do believe is that hermit is shining a really powerful light for you. So however much you feel things are unknown, uncertain, or you're moving through a period that's perhaps a little more tricky, especially at this time of year, you are still making progress in the right direction. I think you need to know that. You may even have moments where you think, I'm literally going round in circles, or I feel like I haven't moved in the way I expected to. I think, it's all about perspective. We talked about that in November. It continues in the month of December. What you say about what you've been through is everything, because that's the memories you're going to start to ingrain into your subconscious, right? So the 7th also brings Neptune direct, of course, still in Pisces, and it just, I think, affords you this sort of wake up moment and this realization perhaps of something that you've put on hold, or you just never maybe managed to get round to through the course of this year, which doesn't mean it's lost, it doesn't mean it's forsaken, or that you won't have the opportunity, but there's new inspiration that wants to arrive along with it. So now, both Saturn and Neptune, moving forward in your sign, 8 of Wands, something is ready to sort of take off and just give you that lift. Remember, back to what I said about this analogy of when the sun breaks through, you got to use these moments and let them kind of really lift you, because they will happen. 12/12 portal will be an exciting time to just kind of really lean in and sort of feel like you are directly in conversation with your higher self, your guides. There's something beautiful meditatively or through your rituals, or just taking time to be somewhere that feels ridiculously grounding for you and really soulfully like a sanctuary. That matters. Try and make some space in and around the energy of then. We build up, of course, to the full moon Gemini, and there we're going to see Mercury stationing direct in Sagittarius. There's some gossip moving around this period. It's strong, but let it flow on by. You just want to be rising up above it. It just feels like it's kind of low level stuff. The bigger theme, the more important thing about what this moon is trying to tell you, is that the way news and information is being processed by you, how you're receiving it and what you make it mean, has a direct correlation to how much you're giving yourself credit for things, for number one, permission for things, number two, to be able to do and say and show up in the ways that now feel good to you, but also, right, in terms of what needs to go so that you feel freer in terms of being able to think how you want to think, to be able to express in the ways that you want. So this sovereignty, this freedom, and this kind of movement forward at quite a kind of sonic speed, it might feel actually in and around that mid-month that things start to just happen really fast, and particularly through the muddling, kind of somewhat confusing energy in the beginning of December, this could feel like you're a little bit unprepared actually for how fast things might shift. Now, I'm going to say to you, this is a bit of a heads up for next year, right? Because what you're going to find coming in 2025 is that this more unconventional, unexpected transformation happens so quick that you're almost put on the spot to have to make these decisions and choices, feeling like you're not ready, but actually, like I said, you're preparing and been building up for this for some time. Now, when we come into Capricorn energy from the 21st, we're going to welcome, of course, Solstice, beautiful time to realign and just ground things out for yourself. Coming into 11th house, it's always a time where community comes to the forefront. You've got 7 of Swords here. There's something that isn't feeling right within you, right? And you have to be honest with yourself, and maybe you'll need some time away and some just consideration of thinking about how you're going to deal with this in the new year and moving forward. Listen to yourself, trust in yourself, okay? You don't want to be holding on to energy or attachments or relationships that are actually not really supportive or championing your highest path, your best outcome. So whatever that is, if it's groups, if it's friendships, if it's community, anything that you're plugged into that seems to be in direct opposition to what you're feeling in your own sacred self, there's a time around that 21st to really come to terms and acknowledge it in a big way. You might have some conversations that leave you feeling a little bit like, what was that about? Something just feels a bit funny, a bit strange energetically around that time. We've got a Jupiter square Saturn moment on the 24th, right ahead of the holidays, and it just feels like it's a little bit friction energy, right? I definitely feel like there's people that might be in the mode of trying to apply some guilt, bit of guilt tripping going on, bit of emotional manipulation happening there. I feel like you need to do what you know you set out to do at the beginning of the month, and remember the boundaries that you had in place. That's going to really support and serve you. Chiron stations direct on the 29th, right? Wounded healer. So when we arrive at that time, as we've moved through some of the more emotional days of the month, if you're celebrating that season, what you're going to find is that there's a huge sense of relief, but also something that you absolutely draw a line under. And it's so good for you. It's like it might have taken you a long time. It might have taken you years, Pisces. But honestly, when you get there, and it's not a case of berating yourself or, God, I should have done this sooner. It's just a case of like deep acceptance of like, well, now is the time. Now is the time to do this. Now is the time to take that step, or to admit that, or whatever it is that's directly connected into your healing journey. Because that movement of Chiron is so supportive, coupled with the new moon in Capricorn coming in on the 30th. And I really see this Eight of Wands with the messaging, the conversations happening in a way that feel very uplifting for you. There also feels like there's something a little sobering kind of coming in. It's that time of year anyway, you know, we're sort of leaning into this sort of looking back and reflecting on a lot. But that wake up call, and it doesn't feel like it's coming in to sort of sucker punch you. It just feels like it's coming in a very, like you're ready for it, because there's a sort of seriousness that you have with yourself regarding something. It's almost just like, I'm not playing at this anymore. Like this matters. This is important. This is a priority to me. And you know, when I allow myself to really envelop myself in the energy of what that means and what that is telling me, then the kind of second chance energy of December really comes into its own, and you feel like, yeah, this is not too late. And I literally feel you saying that phrase to yourself at the end of the month around that new moon energy. It's never too late. It's not too late. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you are new to the channel, Pisces, our last three cards we look at in the extended reading, talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll look at a personal card, a relationship card for you. We'll also look at a card for the year ahead and see what we're picking up in regards to that. I'm just going to clarify the read, see the direction and some of the insights that are going to be joining us for that conversation. And we begin with that Queen of Swords. Now, please do check out my Solstice activation this month, my soul soothing affirmations to support you this season. And you'll also find, of course, all of my sacred titles over on the website. So if you're gifting for yourself or others, my journal, which is arriving and being shipped, my deck and my book, and also other ways to work with me or things that I've created to support you. The Chariot, the Sun, and the Page of Pentacles. There's a beautiful lineup coming in. Another Chariot here. You're definitely on the move. Of course, this time of year can be, you know, bringing in some travel, but I feel just like it's the movement and the progress that, in spite of the fact that we've got some of these retrograde energies slowing things down, you know, sometimes you're not stopping, and sometimes the progress continues, but just internally, inwardly. And that really matters, because without getting that straight, it just means that sometimes we can be setting off in a direction and feeling a bit lost or a bit unsure. So when we line up with what our inner being is really telling us, then we're so much more prepared to take that physical action in our physical reality, right? Really important conversations coming in around the 15th with that full moon in Gemini just coming in for me as I'm saying this. I feel like I want to tell you that different opinions come forth, but you know, you can trust in what you know to be true around that time, okay? But you might have like two very distinct camps, or you know, two different parties that are trying to pull you in different directions with regards to what you ought to do about something. I feel like the decision is, of course, ultimately going to be down to you. but maybe new information might come to light that will also be supportive. Interesting, you've got the Queen of Air coming through, just supporting that Queen of Swords that showed up as well. Like I said, I really feel like they're coming in as allies for you this month, okay? What do you want to adopt with that? It's about the focus, it's about your experience, it's about the words that you use, how you use your language to support and promote, you know, the growth that you have, the version of you that's here, and also just cut through a lot of the crap, honestly. Like sometimes we just need to just say it as it is and be more direct, and I think that will really serve you this month as you need to protect and guard and be that custodian of the things that are most important in your world as you prioritize in December. So this is the Soul Call deck created by my soul friend Kelly, and we have Warrior Spirit, Only the Brave. I feel like she's adding to the team of the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Air, supporting you here. Incredibly focused, bringing an awful lot of fortitude. Remember, flood your fear with faith and fortitude this month, and it's going to go a long way, Pisces. I hope that you'll join me for the extended. Just wanted to give you a quick preview of my new journal. So beautiful, 276 pages, full color, got some beautiful imagery, and it's just really going to help you to record and have this beautiful reference of your own unique spiritual journey. I think it's just going to be such a beautiful addition to, you know, your existing diaries and planners, and yeah, I hope you'll check it out over on the website. It's just been such a pleasure to create that for you. Thank you so much for all your support this year. I hope you'll jump onto the extended. Have a beautiful, peaceful holiday season. I'm going to see you again in 2025. You take good care.